continue. I think Kat was just asking Scott if he knows what vitamin D is. I think she was looking over. Or maybe asking if you would throw that D, what would you do? Hey, what were you saying?
I was.
So
what were you saying? Not to put you on the spot, but what were you saying?
You were asking your husband about something.
Janitor's hearing.
Oh. Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. My name's Will, and joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Vitamin K and Vitamin J.
Hey there.
Hi there.
It's your fix. And hello to everybody.
Part of this nutritious breakfast.
Yes. There isn't a vitamin J, right? When you use a Marcus says, God damn it.
It seems I don't need to tease him. Okay.
It's almost better when the letter of the vitamin can only stand for something other than something nutritious, right? I mean, vitamin J, there's no thing, obviously.
Right.
I was exercising the other day, and I just put on a random playlist from Spotify or whatever, and it was Lotto, which I don't know who Lotto is, but she's a rapper, and every single song was about her body parts and how great she is at using them.
Oh my. Okay.
So we were talking about Two Live Crew. It's kind of in the vein of that sort of thing, but much more graphic.
Oh.
I know Little Lotto. She's a comic book character, not her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
Yes, I remember that.
Not her. Yeah.
Not unless Little Lotto has a magical vagina. I think that's one of the subjects of the song. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Vitamin V.
Yes.
Hey, everybody listening to us live right now on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. I think we got to get off of Facebook Live.
Okay.
I've got to
That'll
find
teach them,
folks. It's just we get muted too often, and getting potential copyright strikes. I have to fight them, and then usually we win, but it's and then it's like you have a certain amount of strikes, and you certain other things go. I don't know what. It's just a hassle.
But we have Eric with us from Facebook right now.
Yeah, sorry. Well, yeah, we won't do it if we're gonna, somehow make it difficult for our audience to find us. But I'm just
if we can ingratiate ourselves to you, we won't. But otherwise, maybe.
Right. But, hey, everybody. Marcus. Hey, Eric. Hey, I know I saw Brandon there earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Karen. Hello, and hello to anybody else who's just lurking. You're welcome to lurk. All right. Hey, check this out. So on today's episode, we're going to ask the question, why doesn't anyone sing about working for a living anymore?
Oh.
Got some ideas. But I was shoveling for like the 10th time in a week here in Northeast Ohio, literally. And I had another playlist playing, and it was, albeit it was 80s songs. But Huey Lewis's Working for a Living came on, and I thought, it just struck me as I'm doing this back-breaking, snow shoveling. Again, it was like the fourth time maybe in 2 days. My lower back is starting to hurt. I thought, why doesn't anybody sing about this kind of stuff anymore? Actually doing work. We'll talk about that.
Will needs a snow shoveling playlist on Spotify.
Yes.
Somebody hook him up.
I thought you would say Will needs a snowblower. Then he would avoid coming up with dumb topics. Sure. Too late. Before we get to that, though, we're going to review current news stories related to 1980s media, and we've got a few doozies for you here, including
Ooh,
Hang with me, folks. Hang on.
Doozies.
we are
Trump
hanging with you.
Points, not you, everybody else. I know you guys are, ride or dies types. But Trump appoints 80s icons to made-up ambassadorships. We got a Masters of the Universe Origins in Thundercats crossover figures coming from Mattel. I'm not sure I'm a fan. I'll explain why. Kelly Clarkson covered Depeche Mode as a country song. I think that's what I'd call it. And the Toxic Avenger reboot that we've talked about a number of times in the past is finally coming to theaters. So they say, but it does seem promising.
Allegedly.
This time because of the folks that are involved. Hey, there's time codes in the show notes if you want to skip around and do it in any order you want. That's fine. But meanwhile, after you're done skipping, don't forget to check out Gen X Grown Ups podcast that's hosted by our very own dear friend here, Vitamin J. Okay. Marcus says he misspelled something. What did you misspell? Cartman had a great snow shoveling song. Oh. I don't know.
I'll have to check that out.
Mark Bark has joined us. Says the 80s rule. Yes. Thanks for joining us.
You get that Homer song in there. I'm Mr. Plow. That's the name.
Yeah.
That name again is mister Plow. It's good for snow shoveling. It's short, but you got to loop it.
Well, Lark Bark says, I know Johnny Cash covered Personal Jesus, which is not bad. It's a great cover. Yeah, he did a number of covers, right? My favorite is I hurt myself today.
Hurt is a grabber. That one.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. All right. Hey, speaking of hurting people, let's get caught up on 1980s news and do some damage to the audience. I don't know. Whatever. That was
ouch.
I thought you were going to say dancing, not damage.
Do some dancing. Yeah. Hey, this week in 1980s news per Entertainment Weekly, Trump appoints 80s icons as, quote, ambassadors to Hollywood. So on the Sunday before he was inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump addressed a crowd. Donald Trump addressed a. What did I do? Oh, I see. Donald Trump announced a new political designation. I'm going to say it over so I get it right. Donald Trump announced a new political designation on stage at the Make America Great Again Victory Rally. Oh, what's that acronym? MAGAVR. MAGVR. MAGVR. Toward the end of this hour-long address, Trump said, quote, I got Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone, and John Voight to become ambassadors of Hollywood, California, to put it back on track. So they're all ambassadors. You have to refer to them as ambassadors, Mr. Ambassador, end quote. Trump first signals his intention to appoint the roster of conservative actors, two of which rose to worldwide renown in the 1980s, to the unprecedented position in a Truth Social post back in January 16th. After the announcement, Gibson, who recently lost his Malibu home in the Palisades fire, told Entertainment Weekly that he wasn't aware that Trump would be handing him this made-up role. Gibson remarked, quote, any chance the position comes with an ambassador's residence, end quote.
I like that.
His house just
He
burned
didn't say
down.
that, did he?
Yeah, he
I
did.
like that.
His house just burned down. Marcus says the acronym you're looking for was DIPSHIT. Oh, yeah. There you go. Voight also shared his sentiments with Entertainment Weekly, noting, quote, very few films are made here, but we are fortunate to have an incoming president who wants to restore Hollywood to its former glory. With his help, I feel we can get it done, end quote. Now, this had me thinking immediately, and I'll just tell you guys right now, I'm not a fan of President Trump. If you can't handle that, okay, that's fine. But it had me ask the question, at least, is Hollywood, suffering, as a suggestion is? And if it is, what can a president of the United States do to help? So I started digging into this, and not going to surprise you, but the film and television industry has been offshoring production. They actually call it runaway productions that are not made in the U.S. or are not made in California. And there's different reasons for doing this. Sometimes the demographics of a particular region may provide the type of casting they need. Maybe if it's a foreign film or set in a different country, they go there. It may be because of the locale. Certain places may be good stand-ins for even prior eras of the United States because those countries are slower to replace old architecture, for example. But most often, of course, the reason is it's just cheaper. Now, it turns out, I was surprised that this isn't a new phenomenon. In fact, I found an article talking about how back in 1952, that the Hollywood Film Council of the American Federation of Labor launched a campaign to stop runaway productions. And at the time, the head of the organization, Dolph Thomas, said he didn't have any problem with folks going because of the casting or the locale they may have needed, but not to save money, essentially. But the response that he got 60 years ago is virtually what they're saying today, which is, if we can't make it in these other places, we're just not going to make them at all because it's too expensive to make it here. But this is consistent with every other industry in the world. It's cheaper to do stuff elsewhere. Look, I don't agree with that. I wish it weren't the case.
Right.
But it's cheaper to do everything around the world, other places, and so that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, soon there'll be an ambassador of microprocessors and an ambassador of paper goods, and anywhere things are being offshored, just make up a title and assign somebody who has no control, by the way, over the industry. Assign them the ambassadorship. I mean, I don't know if you know, but Mel Gibson is an actor, and he doesn't run Hollywood.
That's Mr. Ambassador Actor to you, John.
Right. John Voight, Sly, they're actors. It's not as if you went and got a diplomat who has meetings with all the muckety mucks in Hollywood all the time and said, all right, now you're my eyes and ears on the ground. They're just guys waiting for a part. They work there like anybody else. It's like, it's like going to the guy who greets you at Walmart and going, you are now the ambassador of the entire Walmart chain. I'm like, they don't have to tell me what's going on. That's okay. You just let me know. I just work here.
Yeah. And even still, I mean, what are they going to hear? I think they'd hear what every other industry has said to folks that, that lament the fact that we offshore stuff. Well, okay, make it cheaper for us to pay, maybe, put some laws or regulations in place that we can pay people less. Nobody wants that, because then those people can't afford to buy the products these people are making unless they lower the prices.
Well, that's all part of the master plan. All the prices are going to come down. So you'll be able to afford it now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able to afford it now.
I don't know. This is day 2 of the. I don't want to date us.
Oh,
okay.
I have so many things I could say about.
If there's something I could say that's not cynical, is that fine? If there's a way, certainly, to bring more jobs into the United States, absolutely.
Yeah.
But everything is a system. Everything is a system. You can't just change one part of the system without changing all of the interconnected and interdependent parts of the system. And I'm not sure that 3 aging actors are the guys that know all of those moving pieces. If there was a good faith effort and desire to make some sort of a change, we need somebody who understands the industry and works inside of the industry at a high level to be able to do that. And I think those 3 actors are great figureheads. They're great representations of an idea. They're concepts of an idea, perhaps you might even say, but it's not really the solution to assign these 3 actors.
I see what you did there. Kat, you said you had opinions about offshoring. You're not.
Well, I do. I'm sort of wondering where all the Trump branded things are made.
Oh, well, that's true too.
Wondering about that.
You don't have to wonder. You know.
I do know.
Oh, you do know, right?
I do know.
You don't have to pretend like you don't know. We do know.
Exactly.
I mean, his stuff is made overseas.
That's right. So is he going to appoint an ambassador of the Trump
tie making
branded? Yes.
Right.
Tie making.
Ambassador of gold sneakers.
Yes.
Ambassador of Bibles. Certainly.
And one other thought, is it possible that this could be related to, I'm aware that he is unhappy with his lack of popularity over in that region of our United States, over in Hollywood,
California.
And,
decidedly a blue state. Yeah, sure.
Right. And I wonder if this is just some way for him to try to increase his popularity, to paint a picture of having fans and having influence in an area where he so desperately wants to be popular. He wants them as part of his fan base, shall we say.
Yeah, in theory. I mean, I don't know what what are the action items you could take to do that. He's not going to change any minds, really.
I don't think
But
so, but
yeah.
it just feels like a gesture towards that.
Well, I think
It's something.
look, I didn't mean this to be a political discussion necessarily,
Right.
but it does seem like he likes to have the appearance of fixing things, right? Even
Yeah.
though,
Yeah.
even to the extent of proclaiming that he's going to fix something that it can't be fixed.
Right.
Certainly not in a more complex way than just appointing 3 actors to these made up positions. But there are some real things that can be done, at least, right? Because we know we can't lower labor costs. That's not going to happen. The cost of goods in the U.S. or it's whatever the market will bear. That's not going to happen. And Karen points out it's not just the actors; they have crews too. Yeah, that's a big part of the problem. It's cheaper to use a crew over in a different country than it is in the U.S.
Yeah.
But one thing that they are doing, at least in states, throughout the U.S. have been doing this, and also Canada and other countries, is offering incentives, financial incentives. In California right now, at least as of today, there's a $330 million cap on the amount of, money available for California probably to write off or forgive us or not tax you on as far as the production goes. Gavin Newsom, hearing the pleas of Hollywood, to try to address what Trump is claiming he wants to fix, has proposed raising that to $750 million, which wouldn't go into effect until this summer. But there's California still competing against even states in the United States like Georgia, which doesn't have a cap at all.
Yeah, right next door to me. Georgia is huge for production, and not just live production. Animation is done there, huge volume because of the lack of that cap of being able to write off production costs, tax write-offs. And you mentioned Canada, both ones I was thinking of. So many of my favorite shows are shot in Canada, and it's like this little town in Canada was made to look like this town in Philadelphia.
Right. Yeah, you don't
Very
even
common.
know. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it whether even if this tax incentive passes is no telling whether or not it'll help stave off California shipping stuff overseas. I don't even know. Not being in the U.S., I don't know what their laws. They could do whatever they want, I imagine. So, but what is interesting to me is it seems like this puts Trump, at least, he's going to have to ally himself with folks that he's been insulting for years, including Gavin Newsom, if he really wants to do something.
Yeah.
And the only other thing, the thing that maybe within the power of Trump is something on a national level. And in October last year, Representative Adam Schiff, who's I don't know if he's sworn in yet, but he's probably a senator from California now, proposed that they offer national incentives that would be on top of whatever any state offers. So if Trump is to save Hollywood, it's like he suggests he wants to do, he's going to have to align himself with Gavin Newsom and Adam Schiff, two people he's got nicknames for that are not, flattering.
To fix any problem in a real way that's not just lip service, and I'm not just talking about one side or the other, it requires reaching across the aisle. It requires working together, not being adversarial. It requires some sort of olive branch, some sort of acknowledgement of your differences, and then try to move forward. And it's something that we don't do incredibly well in the United States, certainly not in the last half decade or so.
Yeah. I had once fantasized that, can we tie their salaries to these things? You have to have enough bipartisan legislation with no pork and things snuck in there in order to get paid, period. Now, the reality is, though, there's some portion of these folks that don't need to work at all. They don't use that salary. That goes right into an investment. There's a good number of Congress people that, are still
They're
probably
like,
working.
I don't even need your money, right? They're going to say,
Right.
Don't worry. Special interest will take care of me. I don't need your money, your salary money. I live off lobbyist dollars.
Brendan says, aren't a lot of films shot in Ohio? I have heard that certain cities in Ohio serve as accurate backdrops for other bigger cities. There was a time, yes, Brandon, that's correct, because within a short area, you could have, cornfields, or you can have very urban-looking areas. Cleveland stood in for New York City and a number of the Marvel films. I used to work down there and be able to see those shoot. Superman was here most recently, was shot in Cleveland and in Cincinnati, but it's not as much as it used to be. And in part, it's because I did a little research on this years ago, because of the tax incentives offered by other states. I think even Michigan offers better tax incentives than Ohio at this point. But yeah, unfortunately, and they really screwed up downtown Cleveland by putting this giant ass chandelier in the middle of the street. You can't run a camera truck down the street anymore. Oh, whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Marcus says, what is the benefit of bringing movie production back to California or to the U.S.? Well, of course, I'm sure Marcus knows this. The concern is that, well, then local folks would have jobs, mostly the crews and those types of folks. have a job. Obviously, the actors travel, but they'll use
They get paid no matter what. Right.
Yeah.
Right. For every I say inch of film, it's all digital. For every inch of film that's shot,
Right.
there are 24 staffers that you don't see that are making that inch of film happen. And it's the food crews, it's the grips, it's the production staff, it's the designers, it's the costumes, it's the wardrobe department. It's all those things you might not see or know you're seeing, but would grind to a halt with all those supporting things. So, yeah. John Voight's going to get paid whether they shoot in California or they shoot in Taiwan. It's all the people in California that would benefit from having him shoot there because they don't work in Taiwan and they don't make a wage off of that.
Which is interesting to think of someone on a national level, like the president talking about, I'm going to fix, help Hollywood. And, considering what I just told you about the legislation that's proposed in the state itself and the comments about these actors, it seems like, they're interested in keeping the business there in California. But if someone who's on a national level, that means you're screwing over Georgia, for example. For you, you just want all your children to be happy and it be equitable. It is kind of interesting that you think, well, I'm going to pick sides. And because the offices are in California, let's try to get the production back there. Fuck you, Georgia. But, it's kind of a weird thing.
It is.
Karen says we have a lot of Tyler Perry things here. Stranger Things filmed here. Will Trent. Oh, I love Will Trent. Yeah, Georgia's the place to shoot nowadays.
Yeah. Don't take production away from our 51st state.
I am going to stall for a moment here.
Start tap dancing, Kat. We're stalling.
Oh,
where's the ukulele?
It's right here. I got it.
Oh no, it was actually in reach. Damn it.
John, you know the first rule of Fight Club or
I know
1980s now. I don't know why this is saying my screen is blocked.
Oh.
Click screen icon in your. Oh, wait.
What is Will Trent?
Let me try a new thing.
He's going to share something with us. I bet he's got a cool game coming up later.
It's a crime show.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. It's a crime drama show. One of those procedurals.
Okay.
Presentation. I'm spelling it wrong. Let's try this again a different way here. Presentation. Come on. Do it. All right, there it goes. I'll take a drink from my vintage Empire Strikes Back Burger King glass here.
Oh, I have one downstairs.
Lovely.
Oh my God, it tastes like fries. 50-year-old fries.
I thought he said flies. Fries.
Like flies. Right. Quick temperature check. So down in Florida, it's only 35 degrees here while Will's getting his drink.
We call that spring in Ohio.
Kat, what's the current temperature where you are?
I was just going to check. Let's see. It is 12 degrees.
12 Fahrenheit.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I think I could beat that. Let me see.
How you doing?
Oh, shit.
In your funky cold town.
He can. Yes. I love that. He's absolutely going to beat us.
It's 9. 9 feels like -3.
Oh. I learned something new about my car today that I've owned since 2017.
Yeah.
That if it's cold enough, when you remote start it, it will turn on the heated steering wheel and seats for you.
Oh, wow.
It's never been cold enough in my town to know that.
To have to do that. Wow.
Right. I always said, I wish it was. There's a setting that says auto turn on, but apparently there's a threshold at which it will do it for you. And apparently today was cold enough. When I was going to turn it on, I'm like, it's already on. I had no idea. So I live in a tropic climate.
I'm glad it was a happy discovery.
Right.
Like, oh no, that feature.
Let's call an audible on this story.
The brake's been on all these years? Damn it. It's a safety emergency brake.
Oh
no. No wonder it's sluggish. No, it's not that.
All right. I'm going to, I don't know why this isn't loading. Give me an error.
Karen wants to know. John, did you get snow? Karen wants to know.
No.
Yeah, it's cold enough. And you have the humidity down there. Sure.
Yeah, just
for folks just joining us, we don't usually just talk about weather.
Just killing time.
That's the benefit of live.
Let me try to present this other thing. Let's see if this one will work.
Okay.
This is different technology, so maybe this won't.
Is it about the weather? If not, I don't care.
Yeah, it's all weather all the time.
Oh, good.
That's our.
That's fine.
Just
I want
like
to
our
see some
tagline
radar.
suggests. Well, that's weird. A video loaded like no problem.
I see.
Wish I could stop this presentation from trying.
Hmm.
Huh. What if I try to add another one? Oh shit! What did I do?
What could go wrong?
Let me try.
Pile it
Whatever. It doesn't matter, right? People. Oh, it's worked. It's there now. Okay.
Is it working?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Good. All right.
Yay.
All right, cool. All
Oh.
right, we can go in the right order. All right, here we go. All right. Hey, any notes here to talk about? No. Okay. Hey, in other 1980s news, as reported by comicbook.com, Masters of the Universe Origins, what does the X mean when they put something in something? Versus?
That's a collaboration. That's a
crossed with?
collaboration between.
Okay.
Yep.
Masters of the Universe Origins Thundercats crossover figures have been announced by Mattel. So following the launch of their popular Masters of the Universe Origins Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of Grayskull crossover lineup. Shit, they
mouthful.
got it. It should just be MOTU TMNT. I don't know. Whatever.
Right.
Anyway,
Learn from
Mattel's-
Megaver.
collect those action figures, yeah. Anyway, Mattel's confirmed a Thundercats collab is on its way for 2025. Along with that announcement, the company's provided images of the first figures in the collection, which are set to hit store shelves in April. And based on the prior figures that I just mentioned, they'll probably go for about $90 for 4.
Wow.
I don't know if that's a
Okay.
big deal or not.
Yeah.
But,
$20 a pop is what I saw in the article when we were buying it individually. Yeah.
okay. So wait a second. That's more than 4
That's
times
a
20 is
terrible
80.
deal.
And then,
So maybe it's a set of 5 for 100. That might be.
okay. Yeah, and it might be different. Yeah, it may be different. But the wave will include, do you say MOTU? M-O-T-U? I've seen it like that, but I always think Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah. It's MOTU.
all right, MOTU.
I've
The
heard
wave
it
will
said.
include MOTU mashup figures of Lion-O and Chitara, along with new characters like Skelra, which is Skeletor and Mumra combined together, and a reinterpretation of Battle Cat as a humanoid Thundercats warrior.
Oh.
We've got some pictures to show you here. So here, first, we'll take a look at this is Skelra. Now, I've got in the picture in the corner there, Skeletor as he appeared in the 1980s cartoon. So we could, be mindful of what he looked like, at least in his original, incarnation. So here, what they've done is you have the option of so Skelra comes with Mumra, and then you can rearrange Mumra to make him into a Skelra, which is Skeletor mashed up with Mumra. Skeletor and Mumra.
Weird.
Yeah. But so already I'm like, I don't know. It just looks like Skeletor with a different helmet on and wearing a dumb looking cape. Like maybe he landed on the ground, like splat. That cape. Why is the cape shaped that? Maybe they just want to show it to you, and the cape
Maybe
hangs
it's spread
down.
out to. Oh, right.
I hope
Maybe he's
not.
lying down. It's laying out on the ground behind him.
Right. So, because here's the Mumra. So that figure that I just showed you, I think you get them both together with interchangeable parts that allow you to create either of these. Either you have a Mumra that looks more or less like the Mumra from the cartoon, or as I mentioned, you could tweak it and make it into a Skeletor Mumra mashup. Which again, it's
Well, the transforming thing is interesting, but
Yeah.
who needs a Mumra mashed up with Skeletor? I want a Mumra. That's cool.
Yeah.
I think the extras are just like, since this is a mashup, we've decided to mash this up. That was kind of weird.
That was my question. Who asked for this?
Yeah.
Did someone ask for this?
Kurt says
Oh, Mumra did. He really wants wings.
the Skeletor looks like he's going to the Met Gala.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Who are you wearing?
But,
I'm wearing Mumra.
yep.
He also says, I hope the new Thundercats doesn't look like the last Cats musical movie. Yeah, I know, with all the butt. So in here, okay, that aside, take a look at what they did with the, let's see, the other one here, they have Lion-O. Now, I purposely put the cartoons here so you can see or question, what did they really change?
Right.
Yeah. No. This is fine. It's just they're in the shape of
Okay.
Not Super Friends
mean to do
reference,
that.
not intended there. In the shape of
Thorma.
MOTU characters,
Right.
you know, like there was a line of like horror figures that looked like He-Man figures. You had like Freddy
Okay.
Krueger, but he was beef and built like He-Man. You know, there's a line of those that I've seen.
Yeah.
And so they're so popular, like putting these characters in that He-Man, like there's no mashup here. You're right. It's just, which is great. That's what I want. I want a character that is the character that I remember. I don't need you to mush him up with something
Okay.
necessarily. It's cute, but it's optional. Yeah. And he's not quite as buff, is he? As like a He-Man figure. He's a little more svelte.
No, yeah, he's built like Lion-O is built. That's why I don't even understand this as a mashup. All they did was put his symbol from his belt around his chest and give him a loincloth instead of the little undies he usually wears.
Well, Kurt wants to know or comments. Lion-O looks like he gets hair done from a 1960s beauty shop hair blower.
Yeah, right. You can picture they picked that up. And,
Yes.
He's
get a
been riding a
blowout.
motorcycle with no helmet. Blow back.
and then
And Karen,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Yeah, well, Karen wanted to know, why were there holes in the wings or the capes or whatever on the other
Yeah,
guys?
I guess
Battle
because it's-
damage.
Yeah, battle damage. He's evil. Evil people don't care. I don't know.
They don't care about their cloaks. They just leave them tattered.
And the red cape in the Mumram one is the same as the black cape. It's just, flips
Yeah.
over. It's reversible.
It was reversible. Okay.
Yeah. So here's
It's very
Chitara
fashion
again.
forward.
Now that you've made that comment about they don't tweak it too much, it's just as if they're from Eternia, I suppose. I kind of get it, but again, this is not a whole lot of change. She still has the same tights. They just added a loincloth to that.
Now, this
Like a
looks
towel
like
you'd get at the gym when you need to wipe the sweat
this
off.
mold looks like an Evil Lyn, though. The shape of the figure is very Evil Lyn-esque.
Okay.
So I think there's a decent fit. It's somewhat accurate.
Okay.
But again, not that different than just a regular character would be from Thundercats.
All right. Well, then here is, I guess, then, sort of confusing then to me, because most of these figures we've seen so far are as if the Thundercats lived in the world of He-Man. But the final entry that they have here is Battle Cat. And
I love it.
Battle Cat is made
Awesome.
as if he lives among the Thundercats, and he is a cat. So
That's
this
cool.
makes more sense to me.
This fixes the goofy Pluto problem, right? Which is
Yes.
like, wait a minute. Are you a dog that walks? Are you a dog that people, that is a pet? And you're like, well, if you're gonna have Masters of the Universe cross with this universe of cats, he wouldn't just be a ride-on beast of burden, not to minimize the awesomeness of Battle Cat, but
Yeah.
he would be his own sentient character. This is the smartest mashup of these. Like, well, in this universe, cats are much more aware and they're self-aware and they're humanoid. I think that's cool. Now, this is a Brundlefly mush-up thing that makes sense to me. I like it.
Yeah, this is my favorite too for the exact reasons
Yeah.
you said. Yeah, it makes the most sense. The other ones are just confusing to me.
Right, because otherwise, can't you just see, like, the Thundercats are like, why are you riding that cat? What's wrong with you? Would you ride
Right.
me?
Oh, yes.
Is that how you feel about cats? Oh, no. Abraca, boom, he's a sentient human. There you
Right,
go.
yes,
He's
yes.
humanoid. Sorry, no need to offend.
That racist female.
Right.
He's being canceled. Troll on YouTube says Battle Cat looks sick. Yeah, I agree. Eric says He-Man Thundercats crossover is breaking my brain. The He-Man WWE crossover was bad enough. Oh gosh, that also sounds like one that wouldn't have a lot of, I don't know, necessarily have a lot of changes, or you'd recognize it as a mashup.
Yeah. Reminds me of in the mid 90s, Playmates, who at the time both had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle license and the Star Trek license. They put out 4 Ninja Turtles in Star Trek uniforms.
I like
Really?
that. That sounds cool.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. That's
Yep.
clever.
And of course, each uniform was in, whatever, the purple one and the red one and yellow. They just had
Donatello.
that style. Yeah, those. They just had that color of like their, uniform shirts on, but over their shells, or I forget what they look like. But I got them up in the attic. I have them in the collection.
Oh,
But
I want to see
goofy.
those.
I bought
wow.
them because
I want to see them.
Yeah,
I was young and dumb.
Eric says Stephanie McMahon was done up as Evil Lyn. That
Oh,
sounds-
and the WWE crossover? Cool.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Oh.
Brendan says I was passive until seeing Battle Cat. Looks pretty damn cool. Yeah, I know. Can we
Yes,
just
mate.
get the Battle Cat? I just want that one. probably got to buy them as a set for $90 when we could buy 4 of them for $20 each.
Hey, $10 for the box. Sorry.
Chad says he has a 4. I have 4 of those. I have 4 of those turtles.
Just like John. And Donatello would be in engineering for sure. Yes, Kurt.
Oh,
there you go.
yeah, I'd be curious. Yeah, that'd be interesting. What uniform he has on?
Leonardo would be on the bridge. He'd be the captain.
The gold, sure. Is it Raphael would be? He's the one that gets killed right away, right?
Well, he has a little anger problem. Oh, I get it. I get that. I understand that reference. There. Oh my gosh.
I want double credit. I want credit for making a reference you get and credit for knowing the color of Raphael's stuff. I want double credit, please. Okay.
Bestowed.
Hey.
There you go. Hey, let's see what we got here. Hey, in other 1980s news, as reported by Billboard, Kelly Clarkson covered Depeche Mode, but as a country song. Maybe country songs goes too far. I'll play it for you in a moment here. So on the January 21st episode of the Kelly Clarkson Show, Clarkson tackled Depeche Mode's Just Can't Get Enough, which is one of my favorite songs from the early 1980s. She did it in an installment that she calls Kellyoke, which I'm not familiar with, but it's cleverly titled at least. The platinum-selling track was back in 1981. The platinum-selling track was the 3rd single released just a month before the group's debut album, Speak and Spell. The song reached number 8 on the UK singles chart and number 26 on the Billboard's Dance Club Play chart. Now, unlike the original synth pop tune, which was written incidentally by the electronic music pioneer Vince Clarke, who not only did the music for Depeche Mode early on until he left. Before that, I'm going to say it was before that, he was Yazoo, which is known as Yaz in the United States. And then he went on to do Erasure, which I think he's been pretty much Erasure ever since. But a guy who, learned how to, utilize to the fullest extent since early in the 1980s. Anyway, in spite of that version that Vince, banged out all those years ago, Clarkson added her characteristic Southern twang to a rock-leaning country-ish version of the song played by her back band. Let's see. I got it for you here. You can tell me what you think about it.
When I'm with you, baby, I go out of my head, and I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. All the things you do to me and everything you say, I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. You slip and slide as we fall in love, and I just can't seem to get enough. We walk together, we're walking down.
What do you guys think before I say anything?
It's fine. I'm enjoying it, but it's so different to me from the original version because there's no synths. There's no. I miss that.
And they're not even imitating it, or with another instrument, interpolating with another instrument.
No, they're not. And I have a question, but I want John to be able to give his reaction first.
I think I like her version better.
Oh, really?
And I'll tell you why. Not because I don't like the original Depeche Mode song, but it's more of a love song in this way. In the other one, I just can't get enough with the synth and with the driving rock. It's a little less heartfelt, and the way she's singing it, it's more of like you hear the emotion in her voice about how much she can't get enough of your attention and your love and everything. And the other one's just like, I just can't get enough. Like it's a party song, and this is more like a relationship love song. I like that. It's almost like she reinvented it in a way for me. So I look at them as different, but I think I like this one a little bit better even because I always liked the lyrics of the song, but didn't feel it was conveyed very well in that style. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. I didn't even think to compare them in that way, John, like which one I would choose. I guess for me, they both exist in and they both exist for me. That sounds bizarre.
They're variants. Yeah, both in the same world.
But I really like it. Yeah, I really dig it. I was surprised because, even from the beginning, first few, guitar chords. I was like, I don't know, what is she doing with this? But then once she started singing, and she's a fantastic singer,
Well,
and
her
it started to
voice.
come together.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Yep.
yeah, I agree with you, John. She does elevate it in a way. The original for
It's
me has
almost a
got a special
different
place, I guess.
a different song in a way. It's like
Yeah.
it's a cover, but it's almost like it's like Candle in the Wind, right? It's like it was performed one time in one way and meant one thing, and now it's being performed. After Lady Di was killed, it performed for her, but with different soulfulness and different meaning almost.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think of it's the same song but with two different intents, and I like this intent a little better.
Interesting. I was wondering as I listened if I didn't know ahead of time that it was a cover of Depeche Mode, if I would even have noticed. And I sort of wish that I'd had that experience of just someone saying, "Oh, here, listen to this song." Would I have said, "What? Oh, she's covering that song?" Or would I have just kind of, enjoyed it for what it was, not realizing?
I think you
And-
would have. I think you would have.
I feel like maybe I would have. But I have a question about covers. We talked about this one time, and I'm trying to make sure I'm remembering correctly. So when someone covers a song, it's expected that they stick close. There was something about that, right? Can you re-explain that? So
Yeah,
that's great.
it's an interesting thing that I don't know. I'm not familiar with any case that's ever come up as a result of this. But according to the law, anybody can cover any song, right? The only thing you have to do is pay the artist a statutory fee per publication or per sale or whatever. You can negotiate it, but there is in the copyright law. All right, if you want to cover it, you owe them X. But you're right, Kat. One of the requirements, I suppose, to avoid infringement is that you stick as closely to the original song as possible.
Yes.
And I think the idea is that, well, I don't know what the idea is, honestly, because other types of way of avoiding infringement, we talk about transformation, that something's been transformative. It's a little different. You added your own thing to it. But yeah, that's the way it is in the law. And one of the examples I remember from law school was talking about changing genres might be problematic.
Well, and this feels like that, right?
100%. But
I'm not trying to cause any problems, but
practical and all practical. I'm not aware of any example with anybody filed a lawsuit.
But then when you do that, how far do you go before it's like you're walking into the darkness and it's getting darker and darker and darker, and then eventually you start to walk into a new pool of light? Like, how far do you walk out of the infringement until you're and now it's parody. Now we're so far away from it that we're protected under parody. So it's like that gray area. And then I think there's this great band called Hayseed Dixie, who is strictly an AC/DC cover band done in bluegrass theme.
Yes.
And I always considered that to be borderline parody, though they didn't change the lyrics. They just entirely transformed the genre. Yeah. And I wonder if they had to pay AC/DC, or, you could get the blessing, I guess. You could negotiate down to 0 or something. But what if you're not getting money for it? Which is a novelty band, then it's almost parody again. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the court has answered some of these questions and does have sort of, ways of doing that. The biggest thing I could think is all of this is to protect the original person, right, from losing money as a result of an infringement. So maybe the idea of you keeping it close is that you don't disparage the original somehow. Like, people think, oh, this country song sucks. And so they see Depeche Mode just can't get enough. Like, oh, I heard that. That's garbage.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's it. But John, you raise an interesting point.
But if you make enough fun of it and you disparage it enough, it's parody. It's like, where's the line?
I guess the question you're raising is simply changing the genre enough. So you brought up Richard Cheese once. Richard Cheese will stick to the lyrics, but sing it in this ridiculous loungy way. Could he argue that's parody? I don't think so. You have to change more than that. Usually it's the lyrics, obviously, or it's always the lyrics, I guess, obviously. But.
Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars.
Now that might get you sued because if you change it too much, it's not parody because you didn't change the words. But that might be a good example of.
Copyright law is crazy.
It is.
It is crazy, and it's not clear cut, right?
No.
I
Karen
saw
says,
that. Go ahead.
Nope.
I was going to say, I saw that Kelly Clarkson also did a cover of Depeche Mode's Enjoy the Silence.
That's
And
right.
so I was curious to see if that had a country flair, and I found that it did not. To me, it sounded as if I weren't looking, I'd think, oh, this is a stage show of Depeche Mode, and they brought somebody else on stage to sing this song. The
Guest.
music, the instrumentation was much more similar to the original song.
And then she learned she could do it in different genres, and she was like, "All right, let's play with this." The lawyers got back to her. Karen says karaoke's how she opens her show. And her mom records it for her when there are people I like on.
Cool.
Kurt says, by turning Depeche Mode into a country song, Kelly Clarkson answers the question. Yes, we can get enough.
Ouch. Yikes. And there it is. We just found it. We now have enough.
It looks like Troll agrees, saying, no way, she's ruined that song.
Oh, no.
Agrees with Kurt, not with us.
Yeah.
Mark says she sunoed the lyrics. Yeah, it's a little,
What does that mean?
Suno's the AI.
It's the AI thing.
Sing whatever you want.
That's just pandering to Will, because he'll agree with anyone who dislikes AI.
That's shit's on AI, yeah.
On second thought, you're right. I do hate it.
And it says, I think the first version we hear of a song is the one we take as our own because we build our feelings and memories around that version, be it original or a cover, but that is interchangeable. Oh, yeah, right. That's a good point, Brandon. You're right, because I think we deal with this with our kids, right? There'll be a song that someone they like covered a song that we've known from 40 years ago, and they love that version. He's like, all right, let me blow your minds. I'm going to play the original. The what? The original. Hang on. Turn that off. Shit. All right. Okay. I was wrong. They don't often like the originals.
Yeah. I heard a hip hop cover or remake or something of Every Breath You Take by the Police not too long ago.
Oh.
And it was horrible to me. But I can see how people who heard it for the first time think that's original and they know that song, but it was not for me.
Interesting. A band that we once had the lead singer on here on the podcast, Emarosa, they do a cover of I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And I love it. Of course, I love the original as well, but it's the Emarosa version that I have on my playlist because I love it even more.
Yeah, right. It's interesting because it's different than other songs of theirs, and he really kind of was it Brandon?
Yes.
Brandon really embodied. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Yes.
You met him in person, Brandon.
I did. Oh my gosh, yes.
He and I exchanged messages, but I don't.
That's for Kat this time.
Okay. See, Brandon. Oh gosh, Brandon, I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh, right? And I'm a little embarrassed too. I just, Are you looking it up too?
Oh gosh, Bradley.
Bradley. Yes. Let's just redo that. Yes.
That can't be right.
It's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yep. Bradley.
I should just look at my emails. All right, Bradley.
Well, I remember you saying it because it reminded me of something else that's irrelevant. So I do remember it being Bradley.
All right. Yeah, Bradley really, it's like he embodies Whitney Houston, right? And he really gets into it. Yeah, it's really cool.
He totally
All right,
does.
let's rush through this next story so we have time for one last thing. There's not a lot to this, really, I guess. In other 1980s news, per Variety, the Toxic Avenger reboot is coming to theaters in 2025.
Yay!
I think I'm exhausted just waiting to see this. I don't care anymore.
Oh, no.
That's a good point.
Just fuck it. Whatever. Macon Blair's long in limbo reboot of the classic trauma horror comedy has been searching for a distributor. We talked about it several months ago. Well, it's finally found one in the form of Cineverse, which is, I believe, the folks behind the Terrifier movies. At least the distributors, I guess.
That's right. Yeah.
If you remember, the film premiered a couple of years ago at Fantastic Fest and then another festival around the same time to rave reviews mostly. In fact, it still holds a 92 fresh and 92% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess one of the dozen people that saw it. I mean, how much weight does that hold?
Right.
Well,
20 people saw it and only one hated it. So nice average.
Yeah. But in spite of all that, it couldn't find a distributor. And we're not sure why. I saw some people speculate in the comics that maybe Peter Dinklage's contract required it had to be in theaters, otherwise they could never release it or something like that.
Oh.
Anyway, that's just rumors and innuendo. But in an interview with Collider's Steve Weintraub last year, Dinklage did jokingly suggest that fans would, quote, needed to, quote, write to their congressman.
Now you can write to the ambassador of Hollywood and get it released.
Just thinking, how can we work that in? Yes, the ambassadors will take care of this.
Right. These guys are going to be so busy. Please hold. Please hold. Please hold.
That's right. I need to speak with John Voight about this trauma movie about a guy who falls in sludge.
Right.
I don't want to talk to you about that. Hey, you're the ambassador. It's your job now.
I want them to handle the wild. I want them to handle the Wile E. Coyote movie problem that we're having. That we're not getting to see it.
Right. Exactly.
Let's start
Mel Gibson, let me talk to you about Wile E. Coyote.
Yes.
And Warner Brothers.
Hollywood.
What are you talking about? I understand Wile E. Coyote act.
We've got a new character, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's just Wile E. Coyote the actor movie.
Let's save Hollywood one shelved movie at a time.
There we go. One at a time.
Well, in the reimagining of the 1984 low-budget original, Dinklage plays Winston Goose. That's a little on the nose, right? A health club janitor who gets a terminal diagnosis. When his employer refuses to pay for his treatment, he tries to rob him, but ends up in a vat of toxic waste instead. And then transformed into a misshapen monstrosity, much like in the first film, Goose becomes the toxic Avenger and goes on a limb-ripping rampage of revenge to clean up the town. If you remember that trailer, it is bloody. The trailer it's the most gory, certainly trailer I've ever seen. It may be one of the most gory films I've ever seen. That was just a trailer.
And you've seen the trailer for The Monkey, too, so that's saying something.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's true. That was haunting, that toxic
how do
Avenger
those
trailer.
compare? Ooh.
Yeah. Director Blair said in a statement, quote, "It's so cool that folks will have the chance to see this in theaters. It's a fun, rowdy movie you'll want to see with the crowd. Mutant hero smashes bad guys with a mop. Perfect entertainment for the whole family."
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to see this because I watched
you
the
are?
original recently. Well, not super recently. Within the last year, I saw the original.
Within the time frame we've been waiting for this movie, she saw the original. So anytime in the last several years, right?
I sort of imagined the new one would be my first viewing of the Toxic Avenger, but no, I was able to.
Did you watch the trailer, Kat?
I did a while ago. I didn't watch it today, but I did watch it whenever.
Knowing that, I'm surprised you want to see it. It was so haunting. The gore.
I'm getting more and more okay with the gore and the ick and the
And she expects it will be hilarious. So limb ripping. That sounds like a hoot.
I'm gonna guffaw my way through.
Karen says Toxic Avenger sounds more like a Sylvester Stallone thing. Gibson for Wile E. Coyote sounds good though.
Well, that's right. We don't have to. We can save these films 3 at a time because we have 3 ambassadors. Yes. Frankly,
we'll get John Voight on Batgirl.
Oh no!
By our powers combined, we shall save all of Hollywood.
Right. The good news of this film.
I'm talking about Hollywood. I wrote Hollywood.
I don't even know who he's impersonating anymore.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Kat knows what I'm doing.
I do. It's amazing.
They're so specific that I don't know. It's weird. It's almost you're too good. I'm entering that black tunnel you talked about.
Too good is not the problem, I assure you.
Blinded by the light.
He's entering another pool of light.
I'm entering another pool of another character. Or maybe John is, yeah. Director, I said that already. The good news is this film, this new take on this, was produced by Lloyd Kaufman, who created the original film way back in the 1980s. And in fact, Kaufman loves it. He said the reimagining of his character is better than his version.
There you go.
Wow.
We call that the Kelly Clarkson effect.
Yes. Along with Dinklage, the film stars Kevin Bacon, Elijah Wood, and a bunch of other people we don't know. It will be released sometime in 2025. We don't know when. And come on, would you be surprised if suddenly it wasn't going to be released? I mean, I wouldn't either.
Nope.
Oh no! I want it to be released.
You could see the original on Prime Video right now.
Yes, you can. Actually,
not right now.
Oh, see ya. There is somebody we know who's going to
Yeah.
be in it. I forget her name. She must be in your article there. From Ted Lasso, the psychiatrist or the.
Oh, is that right?
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know that actor's name.
yeah.
Oh,
I know the character you mean, but I didn't know that.
Mhm.
I don't remember seeing her in the trailer either. But cool.
Well, I don't know
It
that
was
she
her
was in
arm
the
getting ripped
trailer.
off. It was very, yeah.
He was beating everybody with her arm.
Right. It was her arm you're beating people with.
Brandon says Mel Gibson could be in charge of Passion of the Coyote.
That's great.
All right, hey, haven't heard me say this in a long time, but that was 1980 news.
Oh my gosh, I was like going for my notebook. Right.
One more thing, we're at 55 minutes, but good 10 or
All right.
15 of those are me trying to get that video thing to work. All right,
That's right. We're going
be
2 hours tonight.
5,
Lock in.
yeah. Everybody, strap in.
Time for some vitamin W.
Stands for will, though, but yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that's good. I wish it was a double thing, but all right, whatever. All right, hey, here we go.
Double
Look, as I'm-
U.
Ooh.
What, vitamin U?
Double U. U.
double
I'm pointing
U.
at you. W. Vitamin W. Never mind.
I'm with you, Kat.
John understood.
It's as clear to me as John's impressions. So
Will, ask
Equally
Scott what it
brilliant.
means.
I have. All right, I will. Hang on, I'm gonna text him now. I'm gonna have Scott. Scott's gonna have to go in there and ask you, Kat. Live.
Can we just have a segment? It's time to ask Scott, and he joins us on his phone. Hey, everybody, what are we checking on?
Yep. Dirty Sanchez, Scott, was the phrase that Kat gave us.
Do I need to write this down?
No,
no,
don't
no,
write
no,
that
no,
down.
no, no. Yeah, forget
That's
I even
never
said
the
it.
correct answer.
Never. All right, here we go. Back to the show.
Okay.
All right. Hey, as I mentioned earlier, this is true. This is a real story. I was doing work and hearing working songs, and I thought, so all right, here's just a simple exercise. All right, for everybody, let's on us with the live now. For you listening at home or in your car, Kat and John also think about any song that is about working, and I can tell you right now, it was released before 1990 without even knowing the song.
Well, at
All right, what
first
do you
I
got?
thought of 9 to 5. That popped
Okay.
into my head. Yeah.
Yep.
John, you got one?
Oh, yeah. And a follow-up commentary that relates to this one, though. So I thought of Loverboy, Working for the Weekend,
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
which, and I'll get to my corollary after, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I also thought of, well, of course, there's Working for a Living by, Huey Lewis. And one other one, which I don't know if it fits the theme exactly, but do you remember Morning Train, Sheena Easton's? Yeah.
Which was called 9 to 5 in the UK.
Oh, I did not know that.
It came out around the same time as the Dolly Parton song, so they changed the name in the US where
Got it.
Dolly's song was doing better.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Many
I'm
of the
sorry,
other
John.
ones that
Yep.
came to my mind were country and western songs. I don't know the names of all of them, but I think of the one that's saluting all the different workers. This is for the one who drives the big rig
okay.
up and down the road.
Oh,
It's not the Statler Brothers. I forget who it is. Anyway, might be the Oak Ridge Boys. I think it is Oak Ridge Boys. Anyway, but they're calling out all the different professions in America and saluting them for, punching the clock and whatever. So it's about working, not them working. They're musicians. They're saluting all of the workers, though. I thought of that one. Yeah. And so many of them are about, I couldn't think of specific ones, but I think of so much country music that's about, as soon as I get off work, I'm going to head into town and put on my best shirt and my clean boots and, pick up my girl or whatever. So much of that country music is about getting off work and finally celebrating the fact that you're done putting in the grind.
yeah.
Now,
Yep.
To your knowledge, John, are any of these songs post 1990?
I can only think of one, and it's not even about working. Really, there's a song by Jason Aldean where he talks about getting off of work and then starting. My Kind of Party is the song. It begins with him getting off work. That's definitely in the 2010s or something. But
Gotcha. It's not about.
It's not really about work. It's not really about work. I couldn't think. I could not find any. I was trying to defy your proposition, and I couldn't find any. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did some digging. Obviously, this started as something that just a gut feeling, and did some research and found a top 25 list of quote unquote working songs. In addition to those, obviously I dug through some other lists to find others, and there were a few songs post 1990, and some of them as recent as in the last 2010s, 2020s, but they used work as a euphemism. Like Britney Spears talking about you better work or work it or whatever, work it, bitch, or whatever she says.
Right, work, bitch. Right. It's actually about putting in effort. It's not about actual employment. Right.
Right. Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Which it gets a little bit close, but most of the other songs, some of them even was a metaphor for sex.
Right. Yes.
That sort of thing.
Again,
but,
vitamin W stands for work.
There you go. Get it in you. But here's a few others, and I noticed Karen's called out some here as well.
Yeah.
She cited "She Works Hard for the Money" by Donna Summer.
Nice.
Sure.
She had another one here. Oh, Manic Monday. Yeah, Manic Monday.
She says it's all about Susanna Hoffs oversleeping and being late for work. Well
That's
done.
right. Right.
It's
No
5
part of
o'clock
the song
somewhere.
takes place at work. It's about her needing to get to work, I think, right? And
Right.
upset
Yes.
that her boyfriend kept her up last night, right?
Being driven
Right.
about that. Yeah. Marcus says the one I'm thinking about. He says, Rihanna was talking about something different altogether. Yeah, she has a song called "Work," Rihanna. But so again, it was a handful of newer songs or post 90 songs, and none that were really about actually the grind.
Right, punching the
actual
clock,
work.
working for the
I'll
man.
give you some examples that I'm referring to that were pre 1990. 9 to 5 was mentioned already. "Working Man" by Rush, "Factory," Bruce Springsteen, "Taking Care of Business," which is about comparing you have to work hard and I'm in a band, but still makes allusions to the fact that there's other folks that out there working. "Manic Monday," Allentown, "Working for a Living." We mentioned "Blue Collar Man," "Bang the Drum." "Coal Miner's Daughter," talking about the coal miner.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
"Car Wash Blues," Jim Croce's having to rub down some fenders, fantasizing about being, CEO. "Working Girl" by Cher, which is not affiliated with the film Working Girl, but is about working. "Welcome to the Working Week," Elvis Costello, and "Take This Job and Shove It."
Johnny Paycheck.
Oh
Johnny
my
Paycheck.
God. Right, I
All
remember
those
that.
songs came out in the 70s or 80s. I could throw in "A Hard Day's Night" from the Beatles to get us into the 1960s.
Yes.
But-
Before we get in trouble with Marcus, I just need to point out Manic Monday was written by Prince.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
you know, I didn't want to get
The
in
rule of
trouble.
the show is we only point out when it's not written by Prince. It's way easier that way.
Did what's his name, Marcus, ask you to do this?
No, this was me.
All right, Kat. Then who wrote? Let's see, "Blue Collar Man"?
I don't know.
See what does that matter then?
Well, you were pointing out some of the. Never mind.
I was pointing out the performers. Everyone is the performer.
Okay.
Marcus is only actually when it's about Prince.
All right. Look, I love you and I love Marcus. All right, I'll let you be a stand-up for Marcus. All right, cool. Yes, that's true.
Chill.
And what's probably surprising is what the fuck is his name, Marcus? Marcus, I was just way too exasperated to get anything straight.
Sorry. Frontal lobe damage. Forgot.
Yeah, I'm having some brain cloud.
Yes, brain cloud.
But anyway, so this got me, I don't, offhand, as I was there shoveling the snow, I was like, I don't know that I could think of necessarily a good reason why people aren't singing about work today or haven't since, except for the ones that sort of came to mind as, it sounded a little like, Old Man Shouts at Cloud, or in my day kind of things. So I did do some digging, but I'm curious if you guys have any thoughts first as to why you think folks aren't singing about working anymore. No, you may not. That's fine. Okay, thank you.
I didn't have long
I
enough
do.
to think about it. Oh, go ahead.
I
John.
do. Yeah. I think it's a matter of volume. I think there are a lot fewer punch the clock, greasy knuckle, 9 to 5 industrial jobs for which you lament for getting off to stop sweating. I'm not saying there's none. Certainly there's plenty of manual labor jobs. But when I think of Johnny Cash is one piece at a time, where over the years of his career working in an auto plant, he's stealing parts to build his own car. And you know the song. Anyway, that's very specific about auto workers. And now auto working is not a line of humans. It's some humans and a bunch of robots. And the robots don't listen to pop music, so maybe they don't need as many working songs.
You don't
There's
know
a lot
Suno?
more office work, you know. Yeah. You know, but you're not going to have songs about I was typing some more C# and I had to debug my code, right? It's not the kind of work that you need relief from physically.
Right.
So you need mental breaks and that kind of thing. So I think as the workforce in the United States, which is predominantly where all these pop songs come from, right? As it drives toward the more technological and the less industrial and manual labor, there's less of a separation between what work and leisure feel like. It's not sweating and grunting and getting filthy. It's I sit at a different desk and look at a different computer all day. It's, you know, not everything, but things have shifted in that direction. Less demand for that kind of music. That's my theory.
That's a great point.
Yes, and statistics back that up, John. You're absolutely right. The fact that we had a few of these songs that talk about working at an office.
Great show, everybody.
Bye, everybody. There's just a few songs in here that talk about office work. Otherwise, they're talking about something that's more laborious than that. And a lot of these jobs you're talking about, like manufacturing, etc. But as we were just talking about, like with Hollywood, manufacturing has shrunk about a third since the 1990s. In counter to that, jobs that are require different skills in training and education, health, business services, have doubled in that same amount of time. In addition, when you throw technological advances like John mentioned, robots and outsourcing, we've got less of these jobs to sing about. Along those lines, is anybody working 9 to 5 anymore?
Right.
Yeah. And the other curiosity I think probably is a tangent to that is that the artists who wrote those songs, they or their families worked those jobs and therefore had a context, a framework on which to hang these lyrics, these songs. And as fewer people have those types of jobs, you're going to write about what you know. And if you don't know about that lifestyle, you don't know about the 9 to 5 grind and punching the clock and bringing home the lunch pail, doesn't mean anything to me. My dad worked at IT, right? So why would you think to make a song about it?
Yeah. And one thing that, I guess the theory I had immediately, because again, I was shoveling this dough, not my teenager, was kids today, and I thought, well, not only do they not do these jobs, but they have a different philosophy or outlook on work and its role, or they don't want to work at all, which is, again, this is, and as I dug into that, it turns out that I'm wrong in that regard. Now, while the younger generations may have a different perspective on work and want more flexible hours, especially since a lot of these kids, weren't of working age during the pandemic, or they had their first jobs during the pandemic, haven't had, quote, real jobs. So they don't even know about working in an office necessarily from 9 to 5. Forget about the jobs, the manufacturing jobs that are few and far between now. But I was wrong about that in that regard. They do expect to have more flexibility, et cetera, like I mentioned, because of these circumstances. But the other thing that I thought was along these lines was these kids are soft. Now, instead of being about working for a living, they were living, or when he sang about working for a living, you were singing about living for work. That concept of, I work so that, I can have stuff or pay
work
the bills.
so I can live.
Yeah. Instead of, what is it? Yeah. Instead of actually working to live. Yeah. With this idea that it supports the downtime in your life and the, the ability to enjoy things.
So we just need different working songs now, right? Like work is different. And maybe the working songs, Tennessee Ernie Ford sang about loading 16 tons of coal. Maybe he needs to sing, I had to cut 16 TikTok reels and what do you get, right?
Oh my God.
Another 20 followers and deeper in debt. Well, whatever.
Can you imagine?
Here comes a parody.
Right. I just wrote half of it.
See, that's the kind of thing I suspected was like, the kids today think that jobs are, creating content, and they're and being famous is the, is the goal.
Right.
Not even making money necessarily, because you hardly make any money. I said kids, John. I was trying to give you a break.
Thank you.
But what I was surprised to learn, I suppose, is this idea that I suggested I put on the younger kids, that work to live? Well, not work to live, live to.
Well, you were saying it seems like people used to work to live.
Yeah.
So they could.
But you don't live to work.
Mm-hmm.
I know
that would imply that that's John.
No work-life balance.
Right?
Yes.
Well, I didn't mean that exactly, but if you live to work, then you're perhaps enjoying what you're doing, or you don't have that good,
or you're just a workaholic,
possibly.
Right?
Sure.
So for some people, work is their identity.
Yeah.
Certainly more so today. Well, in a different way. I think 50s, 60s, 70s, work was your identity, in that what's your profession is what you do. But it was a small part of their life because they didn't have to work 2 jobs and 3 jobs to do, right? It was just kind of, here's the thing I do 8 hours a day in order to afford this palatial estate, and nobody else in the house works. And over time, as more people had to live to work just to survive, maybe it's less worth singing about than it used to be.
Yeah. Along those lines, I did dig into the numbers as far as, well, are we working more now or working less now? And it's about the same as it was. Certainly unemployment rates are at the all-time low right now. But even the percentage of people that are working past retirement is about, are working, it hasn't increased that much. People working multiple jobs today versus the 1980s is about the same as a percentage of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that. But shoot, what was I going to say? I guess I have a final thought that I'll say and we can be done. But you guys, we're going to say something else?
Something just popped into my head about maybe it's like an ethic about it. It's maybe this speaks to what you were saying about the younger generations being soft. That could be part of it. But I wonder if working and what people did for a living was some sort of a point of pride back, in the 80s, or earlier than that. And maybe it's less something that people are proud of now. It's just, this is what I have to do. And they don't feel the need to, hey, I did that thing and now I can go, whatever, go party.
Like John's saying,
communication changes changes of communication could factor in too, because 80s, 90s, up until late 90s at least, there was a separation where you could just turn off the phone. You could just not be involved with work. And so there was a much sharper delineation between work and social life. And so it was a clearer, it's muddier now. The overlap is such, I have a call tonight. I'll be on Zoom and we'll do what? I got to check an email right quick. I'm on vacation, but let me just see what's going on at the office, because you can. So there's not a punch the clock, screw this job, I'm going to go drinking. It's more of a, I don't actually clock out because I'm salaried, and I'll be at the bar, but I'll have my BlackBerry. And, there's less of a delineation between work and social, I think.
Yeah, it's mushy. Oh. Very, very mushy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Kat felt it was backing up your point that maybe people today don't want to be defined by their job, whereas many years ago it would have been more common to just I'm an X, I'm a Y.
Yeah.
At parties I go to today, still people quickly get to, so what do you do? Which is kind of seems counter to what I think a little bit of what we're talking about. But John, like you're saying about, you're sort of on call all the time, maybe regardless of the job you have, if you choose to be, or some jobs are expected.
Yeah.
It seems that, I guess maybe we go back to the idea that those aren't the jobs worth singing about, though.
Right. You might think you might be more inclined to rail against that kind of that thing, but if you never knew anything different, what are you railing against?
Yeah.
That's just the way it's always been. There's not that delineation to sing. It's, am I singing about it because it's too hot or it's too cold? Well, if it's always moderate and you've never known the extremes, maybe you don't know that it's worthy of a song.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Also, Will, are you, like, if you're saying you're going to a party or some sort of a gathering and it.
Yeah, I go to parties. You going to challenge that?
I do.
I have friends.
I meant, is it people,
digging,
our
Kat.
generation? as in people, because I'm wondering
Yeah.
if, the younger generations
Yeah, that's a good
at
point.
their gatherings, they're probably talking about, hey, what game are you playing?
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
what
How many
character
followers
are
you got?
What's your how many followers? What's your username on whatever? Like they might not be asking, what
What's
do
your
you
gamer
do?
tag, yo?
That's a good point, Kat. When I've been at gatherings that have, folks of different ages, yeah, the younger people don't usually say, "What do you do?" It's the people, peers, that say, it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they don't care what you do. You're old.
All right, I'm just trying to get out of this conversation, man. So, I know Kat was, I think, trying to parrot what I was saying about maybe this younger generation being soft. But to be clear, it seems like, yeah, I did that on purpose. It seems like, that would get you in kind of a pickle if you believe that, because I'm just kidding. But because it really turns out that these kids can actually bear a lot. All right, all that's bullshit. It actually turns out
That was amazing, though.
I wouldn't say they're that soft in the sense that it does turn out that the younger generations are less engaged, it says, with their jobs. So they don't feel as emotionally connected as prior generations. It also seems like they get, based on statistics, they get more stressed out at work than prior generations. And again, I don't know what the causes are necessarily, but it does seem to be some significant, and maybe it's related to COVID again, since a lot of them came to work during that era. But this idea of life, John.
I thought of one more possible thing just as you were saying that, which is with the democratization of music creation.
Okay.
Individuals who are making music come from all walks of life. They may not have worked their way up through the ranks and had a job already and worked in an industry or whatever. They might just be a kid who's has some talent and put out some music and it becomes popular. And that's all they did, right? So many of our pop artists, they had jobs. They worked at McDonald's. They worked at a plant or whatever before they got recognized or whatever. And now you might get recognized and start putting out pop music before you've had any other life experience available to you about with to sing and use this context.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I think you're kind of getting to something that I thought I had an epiphany. But this idea of life-work balance, and I'm putting it on younger generations, it actually turns out that seems to have begun with Gen X, because our parents were the baby boomers that were slaving away, often working so many hours that we were left home alone and unattended, and at very least be latchkey kids, coming home from school after and letting ourselves in and taking care of ourselves, but maybe even more. So it seems that our generation, based on what I read, is the one that said, you know what, we need a better balance. I don't want to miss my kids' ball games like my dad did. I don't want to miss the school play like my mom didn't. I am going to make sure I only work enough hours to be able to do the things that I love. I thought she was frozen. To do the things, something's happening at 8:20 at her house, right?
It is every day. Every day.
Some show comes on or something. To do all the things that I love. And in thinking about that, it occurred to me, John, kind of what you're suggesting, that the folks who wrote all these songs I mentioned that we haven't heard since the 1980s, at the latest of the decade, those people are of a different generation than us. They're baby boomers.
They are.
So in reality, our generation is the first to stop singing about work.
Yeah. Or very early Xers at best. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. So they're coming out of that inspired by the boomer mentality. And that makes sense.
All right, there you
listen
go.
to this podcast to find out all the great things that
I'll
you guys
just tell you, Kat, in
talked
case you had
about.
any thoughts about this. The final comment I made was this idea that, so I was thinking about, it was actually our generation that wanted the life-work balance. Maybe you heard that part, because our parents weren't around because they were working so much. But then it occurred to me that when I look at this list of songs that was, most recently from the 1980s, these were all written and sung by folks, written and sung, so Prince and the Bangles, were written by people of an older generation than us.
Yeah.
So it really does seem that our generation of artists was the first generation to stop singing about working for a living.
Oops.
Once again, Gen X, the pivotal generation.
Very, very pivotal.
I said something similar to my wife earlier. I was like looking for a word. I was like, we were like the fulcrum that, things shift one way or another was, around our era of,
Fulcrum.
Anyway.
Nice word.
Very nice.
All right, there you go. Hey, Kat, you're back just in time because that was the show.
And it was brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters, Karen Flieger and Rick
Karen.
Parker.
Go, Rick.
I got to read all these comments when you get done.
That's right.
Oh, no.
And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success level Patreon supporters. We'll call them Vitamin P.
Ooh,
Brandon
nice.
here,
Yep.
Nick Guillory,
Nick.
Marcus Taylor, Tony Great, Matt
What?
Marino, and John Henderson.
Now, just to be clear,
Thank you.
Marcus is not needing vitamin P, right? He's needing vitamin D. Is that what
Correct.
it was? Okay.
Mhm.
Because you could, there's kind
Get it
of some
straight.
options.
Never know.
Let me read these comments and then I'll thank all these fine
A
folks.
multivitamin would be okay, too.
And then we'll edit this in a way that makes sense for the show. And it's published. Hey, Brandon says Johnny Cash also had a song called, is that Oni? About
Oni?
a man punching his foreman out after 30 years of workplace abuse.
That's
I don't
right.
know that one.
Wow.
Marcus says not a lot of pop music at all is the issue, I think. And what pop music is there is from very young people that never worked.
There you go. Yep.
Karen says more mental labor than physical. Yeah, we're kind of talking about that. And points to this past, weekend when, or a couple of weekends ago when TikTok was down. You could tell the difference between people who use social media as a hobby and use it to make money. There's a lot of people who are pissed. I wanted it to go away. I was like, thank God I don't have to learn how to use this. And Marcus also says, damn it, Will, you remember to look both ways before you fuck off. Okay, well, there you go. All right, now I will get back to the thanking part. Thank you so much, guys. We are so grateful for your continued support of our show. Seriously, we are forever in your debt. We should make a song about you. That's what we should do, and it'll be a hit song. We got to learn how to rhyme all these names together.
I'll work on this.
Kat, she was reaching for something, John. It's only because you mentioned it earlier.
I know.
Why are you saying do it? John says do it. I say don't do it.
At least he said he didn't work it.
You got to work as long as the word work is in there. But we're so grateful. If you can help, please join this group of fine folks. Go to patreon.com/1980s now. If you can't spare $1 or $2, then share a Facebook post. Sure you can. Whereas you're working for a living, right? $1 a month? Come on. Share a Facebook post. Share our show. Tell somebody of our generation, hey, check out these three folks chatting about different things, using the 80s as a springboard for bigger topics.
But seriously, how would your life change if you had $1 fewer a month? Nothing. You wouldn't even feel it. But we would.
Yeah.
Yes. And after we've collected $12 from you for the year, if you need it back, we'll give it to you at some point in the future. Right. No interest, though. No interest.
We'll be like an escrow for you.
Yes.
It's an interest-free loan. Right. It's a tax shelter, in fact. Just give us all your money. At the end of the year, we'll give it back through PayPal. Right. No, we're not going to do that.
Okay. All right. Hey, we will talk to you again next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Yo, Adrian, I'm an ambassador.
Kat, will you do me a favor? Just do that one more time. Your head was kind of moving. I didn't get all of
Oops. I'm
just
sorry.
Yeah.
Non-verbals. Until next time.
Beautiful.
Yay.
I can't do mine again. Sorry.
So Brandon said
This is one time.
that was a spot on Mel Gibson, John, I got to say. Or was it John Voight?
No,
No, it was very, very
It was Mumra.
yes.
So John, Brandon says, I need a cut of this episode that makes me understand all these fucking vitamins.
I needed that too, Brandon.
Ask
don't wanna be-
Marcus. He'll
I didn't
explain
wanna
it
be
to you.
Rude. Yeah, I don't.
No.
Well, look, we can say this, Brandon. We were having fun with the idea that, vitamin D, meaning, being phallic, so if you need vitamin D, we were joking about this before the show started, being very third grade.
It's always funnier when you don't know the context.
And the reality is, Brandon, the reason why we carried on was because we had to explain it to Kat. Because John and I were talking like that, and she was like, what are you talking about?
Right. She pulled the Brandon on us like, I don't understand the vitamins.
The crazy thing is, meanwhile, though, she started the conversation off by mentioning a Pittsburgh platter. And we were stunned that she knew what that was.
What are you talking about?
Don't look that up, Cat. Do not look that up. Cat, don't look that up. Don't
Brandon's
ask
going
Scott.
to tell me. He's going to tell me after the show, right,
Don't
Brandon?
do it, Brandon. Banned for life. Mm.
See, you get yourself a glass table. All right, never mind.
Stop there. Just stop there. Just stop there.
Cat,
Why
these
do
are
you
all made
guys
up
know
things.
these
These are all made up things. Anyway, Brandon, so there you go. Yeah, didn't mean to be rude in that regard by all right. Is that everything we need to do? Talk about?
Did we do it?
Yeah, we did it.
Thank you for
All right.
joining us, everyone.
Yes,
Stay warm.
as always. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay warm wherever you are. It seems
Stay
like it's,
warm.
I saw that map of the polar vortex. It was like pretty much going all the way down to Texas, it seemed.
Yep.
Yeah, my buddies in Texas were saying that, for them being in the 30s was cold and bridges were icing over and stuff, it was,
And they got snow.
shit.
Somewhere
did?
in Texas. They had snow.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I'll tell you that over in Tallahassee, where my colleague George lives, they did get snow. I think an inch or inch and a half or
wow.
something, enough that you could see it, right? So it was real, but we didn't.
So
yeah.
is that a common thing? Does that happen every winter or so?
Well, yeah. Well, we have the sea breeze coming in that is warmer over the water, and so it's harder for those polar vortices to push down against that. So we have the warm air coming off the water, fighting that cold air, and so often it just turns into rain, which is what we got. Lots and lots of rain.
See.
Mhm. I thought you were going to say the polar bears. It was.
The polar bears often will. Right, I think they eat up all the snow before it can hit the ground.
Yes.
They
That's right.
fly.
That's how snow's made. Yes, that's true. That's true. You heard it here. All right, thanks, guys. We will talk to you again real soon.
See
Love to everybody.
ya.
Be safe. Bye.